Hello! Welcome back to One to Show event summaries. Now that we've covered the main story, it's time to move into the character focus events. This will be the regular flow of things from here on out. Most Project Sekai events are centered around one specific character, whether inside the unit or a mixed unit. We'll get into the exceptions way later on. For now, Rui will start off the first One to Show rotation with It's On! Wonder Halloween! As much as I wish the timeline worked out for this video to go up at a more convenient time, the event list doesn't really work that way. But the event ran on the JP server from October 31st through November 7th, 2020. It is the third event in the game overall, and the commission song for this event is Becoming Potatoes. Becoming Potatoes is another one of those early game songs that really get new players in a chokehold, and once again, I was no exception. I can hardly stand to listen to it now, though, I played it so much. Okay, let's not drag this intro out any longer than I have to. On with the show. If you've watched the main story, the way things start out with this event is similar to the end of the previous one. One to Show is producing shows, just like any good theater troupe should. Rui is making new inventions, Tsukasa is taking on new challenges, rinse and repeat. Oh, wait, hello? What's this? A new virtual singer already? Hello, Len. He was on his way to see the practice performance in the Sekai, but ran into a few of the plushies arguing along the way, and missed the entire show as a result. One to Show says they'll run it again, just for him, since they feel bad about him missing out. How nice! More practice, yippee! Their next big performance at the Wonder Stage is the following day. Rui starts to think about what sort of performance they should start planning for next. Tsukasa laments about all of the crazy stunts that Rui has him do, and how maybe jetpacks shouldn't be a common occurrence, but all Rui has to do is bat his eyes and say, it would make for a truly fantastic spectacle worthy of a true star such as... And Tsukasa is already agreeing to whatever shenanigans he cooks up next. Never change, my weirdo combo. Since Rui and Nene are neighbors, they usually chat on the way home together. Nene comments that Rui looks much happier compared to before. Like, before, he looked super bored all the time. But there's this spark that he carries with him now that makes his whole demeanor look more alive. It's a good development overall. At rehearsal the next day, the mascot from the main story rushes over to the Wonder Stage with an important announcement. The first ever Phoenix Show contest will be held very soon, right here at Phoenix Wonderland. Tsukasa and Rui seem very excited, but Emu looks a little disheartened. So there was once talk about hosting a contest of sorts at the Wonder Stage, but Emu's grandpa said that there's no need to compete to be the best. Everyone is different, and that's the way that it should be. It seems Emu's dad is going back on some of those decisions now that Emu's grandfather has passed away. However, Tsukasa's loud enthusiasm and pep talk is enough to convince Emu to join the contest. They are the representatives of the Wonder Stage after all, so it figures that One to Show should join. And win! Allow me to go over the competition details and requirements. Each performing group will create 3 original shows, and the audience will vote on their favorites based on those 3 different performances. Emu says that there are 10 total stages in the park, if you include the smaller ones, and each stage has its own set of performers. The winners will be featured in a TV commercial promoting the park. This could be really big if they win, so One to Show gets right to work planning their entries. Emu wants to make a show based on Halloween. Obviously, Halloween is a very American holiday, not discounting its pagan roots, so the concept is a little more out there, so to speak, in Japan. But it's a fun idea, and it would be different from the other performances. Tsukasa agrees, as long as there aren't any spiders involved. Rui brings up the idea of an adaptation of something he calls potato ghosts. I tried to look it up to see if I could find any information on a story like that, but I didn't find anything, so I'll have to go with Rui's explanation. On the night of Halloween, ghostly spirits invade an amusement park after getting jealous of all the living people having so much fun. But instead of causing havoc, the theme park director welcomes the spirits and gets them to join in on the festivities. The reason this play is called Potato Ghosts is because the spirits rise out of the ground one by one, like harvesting potatoes. Sure, why the hell not? Everyone is on board with the idea, so Rui gets right to work with his planning. He shows them all a hidden trapdoor in the Wonder Stage that he stumbled upon while cleaning. The plan is to have zombie robots hidden beneath the stage that rise up and chase Tsukasa around. Yep, sounds about right. Somehow everyone is okay with this plan. And luckily for us, Rui has already made one of the zombie robots, so they can start rehearsing right away. The first run-through goes perfectly, But once Tsukasa tries to climb back out of the trap room, the robot malfunctions and slams Tsukasa back down to the ground. Though he landed on the mat, the force of the impact knocks him out completely. Tsukasa is unconscious for a few hours, it seems. No, I don't know why they didn't tell anyone that Tsukasa was knocked out for hours, because that is very bad. But it seems like he's fine, so I guess it's whatever. Rui looks extraordinarily guilty and apologizes in a very serious tone, but Tsukasa doesn't seem all that affected. He acknowledges Rui's apology, but praises his ideas and says that he still wants to continue with the current plan. Rui doesn't look convinced. A few days pass, and it's time for their first full rehearsal of the Halloween show. Look, they even decorated the Wonder Stage in-game. Emu and Nene worry over Tsukasa's health, but our star is perfectly fine. Really, I just wanted to highlight the fact that Nene says, "You hit your head pretty hard. We don't want to make you even worse than you already are." Never change, Nene. Rui, on the other hand, looks super out of it. The initial read-through begins as scheduled, though. They get to the first zombie scene, and Rui is dodgy around any of the story beats that involve Tsukasa and the robots. He's scaling back his ideas, and, as a result, the impact of the show itself. But he brushes it off as a pacing issue and asks to move on to the other scenes. Well, once they get to the scene where Tsukasa gets dragged into the trap room, Rui asks to change it. Instead of having Tsukasa disappear, why not emulate getting dragged into the grave by having him in full view of the audience instead? We can all see right through Rui's decision here, but Tsukasa is adamant about being well enough to perform the original scene direction. Both Tsukasa and Rui are being very stubborn, and Rui really pushes for the changes. It would be more visually appealing to the audience if everything was on stage. Emu and Nene look at Rui with concern. Rui doesn't sound like himself. When has Rui ever wanted to scale back on a show? It sounds like he's just trying to persuade himself, really. Tsukasa's insistence and Rui's stubbornness quickly dissolves into an argument. Rui won't back down from his stance, and neither will Tsukasa, to the point where Tsukasa raises his voice. And when Tsukasa raises his voice, it brings the tension 6 decibels higher. Emu yells loud enough to get their attention and tells them to stop fighting. Thankfully, she and Nene are able to separate the boys and get them to go cool off somewhere away from each other. Nene guides Rui away, and Emu runs after Tsukasa as he walks off to some other area of the park. It seems that Rui can't even recognize the fact that he's acting differently. Yes, it seems out of the ordinary for him to be cutting corners for shows, but why? Nene thinks to herself that she needs to help Rui recognize that he's worried. He's never had that sort of emotional obligation before. But if Nene wasn't able to do anything for him back then, can she really do anything now? Maybe asking everyone in the Sekai for help would work. Tsukasa Sekai and its allegories. The plushies are fighting again, and it's an exact replica of what just happened between Tsukasa and Rui. Tsukasa is a dog plush, and Rui is a cat plush. I don't know why I feel as though I need to mention that, but it's kind of fitting. When Nene and Rui arrive, Kaito takes the plushies over to them to see what's wrong. I'm not going to reiterate Rui's childhood too much, but I do want you to remember that Rui was often avoided as a kid for his dangerous ideas. By the time he entered middle school, Rui was doing everything by himself, and Nene was too caught up in her own life to really and truly do anything about it. Kaito figures it out easily, and I'm sure that you have too. Rui was afraid that Tsukasa would start hating him and leave, like everyone else did, so soon after finding the place where he could truly belong. He's, a little emotionally stunted, as you can see. Rui's next move after realizing his feelings is to blame himself, but Kaito quickly shuts that down. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting One to Show Kaito to be the most mature of the bunch here, based on his VBS and Nigo personalities. Well, it's good that Rui and the others have a role model. Nene affirms Kaito's advice and tells Rui that Tsukasa isn't going to up and leave over something silly like this. He's a bit of a nutcase, as she says. Tsukasa's therapy session with Emu is a lot more straightforward, since he knows exactly what he's feeling and why. He hates seeing Rui's passion diminish just because of something small, but it does seem like he overcorrected a bit too much. He was mostly angry at himself anyway. If that accident never happened, none of this gross feelings talk would ever need to happen either. Oh, my bad. Feelings talk doesn't actually happen. Why would they need healthy communication when Rui can just show Tsukasa the compromise he came up with? that being a giant wall and a massive ladder for our star to climb while being chased by zombie robots. So, how about it, Scala? It's like their entire argument was forgotten, because this idea is even more dangerous than the trapdoor idea. Scala is going to get pulled beneath the stage, then the lights will go off, and he'll climb up the wall in total darkness, only to jump down the wall again and have to climb back up while being chased by robots. Is this even possible? I guess for world future star Tsukasa Tenma, anything is possible. Weeks pass and everything is basically back to normal at this point. Did anyone else forget about the show contest? I sure did. But don't worry, the mascot is here to give us an update. The rankings for the first round were just announced, and Wanda Show is in 3rd place. There isn't a huge gap between 3rd and 2nd, but a considerable gap in points between 2nd and 1st. So they'll have their work cut out for them, but not all hope is lost. There's still 2 more shows to go. And that's a wrap. What did you think of the first Wanda Show focus? Actually, I think this was a lot deeper of a story than I initially expected. Yes, there was a good amount of hand-holding and silliness, but it's good that Wanda Show is getting Rui to think about his emotions and how they impact his life, now that he actually has people to cause those emotions. I'm optimistic for the future of Wanda Show. Usually, it takes a few events before we get into the mixed focuses, but Emu is here to change that up. Wanda hoy! Tune in next time for the first Wanda Show mixed event. Run! Sports Festival, Committee Rush. I'll see you then.